Welcome, everybody, to a Tuesday night edition of Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is the political cage match where bold solutions win and bad ideas get wrecked. Tonight, we're talking about reloading liberty. As governments worldwide reach for more control, Americans face the question, is the Second Amendment our last shield, or is it the next right they're going to strip away? Our three contestants are going to face off on the toughest questions on gun rights, state defiance versus federal power, and whether new technology means more freedom or more control. This is about safety. This is about freedom. And get ready, because tonight you decide who is smarter than a politician.
Feel the rhythm in your feet. It's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout. We're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression. It's out for liberty. Breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land.
The rules are, I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. The rules are they can debate each other. They could veto each other's answers. They could tariff somebody. They could redistribute an answer. And they all start off with negative 500 points because the government gets paid first. Here's how scoring works. The chat controls the score. You can give or take up to 100 points from the contestants. And like I mentioned, subscribers can double that, give or take away 200 points. All right. I'm going to put Terry in the back. She handles the chat and the scoring. And as they like to say, make her life very hard. Give those scores. Thank you, Terry. All right. Since Maj is a returning contestant, and he probably remembers how to play this silly game, we're going to go to Maj first. First category to you, Maj, core gun rights. Should the right to own a firearm extend to anyone over 18 without exceptions?
Yes. It should, yes, 1,000%. Actually, I would go down to say 17 as the age of a young militia-aged man initially was. Yes, you should be 17 and older, and if you are proficient, safe, and responsible with a firearm, you should have a firearm.
Excellent. Thank you, Maj. To you, Eric. Is gun education safer than prohibition?
Oh, God, without question. Absolutely. Absolutely, without question. Why would I trust someone else to be the arbiter of morality or safety when the absolute best way for people to protect themselves with a firearm is to train and practice safe handling and safe skills? Oh, absolutely. Education is going to absolutely trump passing that buck along to Big Daddy government. That's for damn sure.
Awesome. All right, Barbie, to you. Should schools allow armed teachers who choose to carry?
Absolutely. I have 3 kids in public schools right now. I know it sucks. I don't want them there. 2 in high school, and I hate that they just go into these buildings and they're sitting ducks and magnets for evil people because the government wants them that way. Yes, absolutely. Someone should be there to protect my children. Everyone's children, not just mine.
Excellent. Is this a game show? We're not really sure. We'll get back to you on that. All right. Maj, to you. Should gun manufacturers be immune from lawsuits when their products are misused?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a standard there. If the people that do the jab have immunity, then the people that aren't even involved in the user error or misuse of their product should have immunity. So, yes.
All right. Eric, to you. Should background checks be abolished entirely?
It is my belief that the government has absolutely no say in who should or should not own a firearm. And we didn't have background checks in 1791, did we? And I think, if we look at things under the Bruin standard, I mean, a lot of these laws, so-called laws that are on the books when it comes to firearms, they're going to have to pass the smell test. And there's an extremely short list of people that weren't allowed to have guns in 1791. So, no, I think the answer is absolutely not.
Excellent. All right, Barbie, to you.
Well, they should be abolished. Yes.
Okay.
Rather.
Is any form of gun registration a violation of the Second Amendment?
Yes. The government has no right to know what I own or who owns anything. Absolutely a violation. That's disgusting to even think about.
I agree. I always say that the government shouldn't know how many tanks I own. All right. Maj, to you. Should open carry be legal in every state?
Yes. When at a certain point, all of America was constitutional carry. I think violent crime would 1000% decrease. So, yes, every state, and it would obviously be up to the preference of each individual. However, every state should have no restrictions on who can carry and how they can carry a firearm. All we should care about is the person safe and responsible with that firearm, and that's that.
Excellent. All right, Eric, to you.
Mhm.
Should concealed carry permits be recognized nationwide like driver's licenses?
No such permit should be required.
Thank you. Trick question.
But if I mean, in this fantasy land where, okay, the rules say the government, whatever they say goes, which it doesn't in my book. But if we are going to have some bullcrap permit like a driver's license, you can drive to all 50 states, can't you? There's not some magical border you cross that makes it unable for you to drive. So why should carrying a gun be any damn different? Not that it's their place to even require it in the first place.
Yeah. It'd be a really short game show if we talked about the stuff that government should be allowed to do. So thank you for playing along.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand what's up here.
Appreciate that. All right, Barbie, to you. Should citizens be able to carry to nearly everywhere?
Another trick question. They should be able to carry everywhere, not nearly everywhere. I guess in the essence of the show, yes, but everyone should be able to carry everywhere. These sensitive places, nonsense is absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. Maj, back to you. New category, federal versus state power. Should states ignore federal gun laws they deem unconstitutional?
One, the government shouldn't even create those. The Second Amendment is the supreme law of the land. Still, regardless of if different municipalities try to pretend like it's not, but just to play along, yes, they should. I think Missouri actually said they were going to do that. Now, we'll see how well they, when the rubber meets the road, if the federal government tries to come in to, let's say they saw somebody on social media with full auto and they want to arrest the person, we'll see if the state of Missouri actually stands tall on that. However, yes, I believe in the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment's a thing.
Excellent. Yeah, I think there's more sanctuary cities against gun laws than there are against immigration. Eric, to you. Should Congress pass sweeping preemption protections?
Preemption protections?
Yeah, preempting bad state laws.
Well, I think the federal government should have no say in the way that states conduct their affairs. So if the states decide they want to go against the federal government, they should have every right to. Again, that's a 10th Amendment issue. States' rights, in my opinion. I mean, now, we obviously want our states to think the way we do, but we have a lot more control over getting the people at the state legislature to agree with our opinions than we do the freaking feds. They don't give a rat's ass about any of us. So no, they should not have any preemption.
What about for New York's bad gun laws?
10th Amendment.
What about for New York's bad gun laws?
So you're suggesting that the feds have a law that's better than a New York law?
That says that preemptively says that New York can't pass any of those laws.
Well, I mean, if it's for the better, if it's for the betterment of people's rights and it's in line with the Constitution, then sure, why not in that case? Okay. But how often are they going to do something good? I mean, come on, let's be honest here. They always want to kick that can down the road in a negative way. It ain't ever going to be anything positive. It rarely is anything positive. So in light of that, I'd say hell no. But if they get their crap together and do something that's actually constructive, then sure. But I'm not sure I'm going to put too much faith in that.
Totally. All right, Barbie, to you. Should federal agents need state permission to operate within state borders?
It's your question. There shouldn't be any federal agents. But yes, they should. Um, states' rights trump federal government every time. It sucks when states have trash laws, but yeah, states' rights exist.
Excellent. All right, Maj, to you. Should the FBI be banned from maintaining gun owner databases?
The FBI is a rogue, unconstitutional agency that should not exist at all. But for argument of the game tonight, yes, they should be banned for those things. I think that we, should be asking Kash Patel about his sit down with Sean Ryan, where he said he'd get rid of half of the FBI and turn it into a museum. Not only has he not turned it into a museum, he's also seemed to lose the Epstein client list. So the FBI should not exist. I think local and state governments can do pretty much what the FBI does, but to play along, they should be restricted.
Yeah, he just posted something like yesterday that they're hiring more agents and there's a bonus and all that stuff. So not only are they not getting rid of people, they're adding people. So,
well, my answer would be, Maj, to add to you, I'd say, why stop at the FBI? None of them should have any damn place in having anybody's information or database. Are you kidding me? Do we have a database of all the crap that they've done? Because that'd be one hell of a database. Anyway.
Yeah, we can't even get
that database would magically disappear as well.
Yeah.
Then all of the government would say, "Hey, we don't need We don't need databases. Right. We want to respect you guys' privacy."
Why don't we make some damn lists?
We can't even get the information for the sexual misconduct stuff that they've settled with our money, let alone like any sort of database, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Damn.
Eric, to you.
Okay.
Are gun purchase surveillance programs effectively covert registries?
Now, are you assuming, are we talking about someone does some sort of a sting operation or something? Is that what you're primarily referring to?
Well, they're monitoring all the gun purchases and all of that.
Yeah, of course. Of course, that's a covert registry. I mean, anytime that they are keeping some sort of data, even if it's just basic data about the nature of the purchase, anything they can use to take that data and build and they're going to, of course, build some sort of negative rapport somehow. It's never for your benefit. I mean, if collecting the data, let's just say, was some useful concept like, oh, well, we need to order more steel to make more freaking 1911s because we're selling more 1911s than we are Glocks. Well, then, yeah, order more steel. But that ain't the dang reason. The reason is so they can try to put the freaking thumb down on us at every damn turn. So, no, they shouldn't. They should absolutely not have any latitude to do that sort of thing. I don't ever agree with any of that because it always starts out innocent and it turns into some straight up ass fuckery. And I don't agree with that at all.
100%. Barbie, to you. Should federal laws strike down state bans automatically?
I mean, it already does. They just don't actually enforce it. The Second Amendment already bans all of these laws. But the federal government doesn't care. So yes and no, it does. The Second Amendment shuts it all down. Shall not be infringed.
Absolutely. All right. We are to the first scoring break. If you haven't put your scores in the chat, please do so now. Let's check out the chat and see what's going on. Point Blank is here. Welcome. One threat isn't stopping this. Yeah, there's been a lot of those going on. So luckily we're not considered a school, so that we should be safe here. Kilburn's here. What's up, Kilburn? Thanks for the repost. 100 to Eric for ignoring the rules. Yeah, that's a good strategy on this show. No, you got points for it, Eric. You got points for it. People like when you don't do what I ask. That's part of the game, I guess. 100 to Eric for the enthusiastic answer. Minus 100 to Barbie for having kids in public school.
I've got an X. I need the courts to freaking permit it. It's not all on me, but yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah. Points to Barbie if she can tell me which one is Ken. Hashtag beat you off. Oh my God. 100 to Eric on no government say, you earned it. 100 to Maj, bass bro. DJ's here, welcome. Fan of Maj's. 100 to Barbie everywhere. 100 to Eric for working on his dramatic glasses removal mid-show. It's a good strategy.
I can't read, man.
100 to Barbie for an otherwise good answer. Minus to Barbie for being less pink than I expected. hashtag
I considered it.
You're definitely less plastic looking too. Minus to Barbie for not saying cops should be in the gun registry.
Cops shouldn't exist.
200 to Barbie from a subscriber, Amity. What's up, girl? Points to Maj for the grand piano in the background, super classy. Points to Eric, states' rights over federal power. Points to Barbie for there shouldn't be any federal agents. Points to Barbie for the pre-answer mumbles. Points to Maj on the FBI not being a legal organization. Points to Maj, FBI is unconstitutional. Points to Maj for making the FBI a rogue, unconstitutional agency. Probably making. Points to Maj for calling Soy Boy cash out. Minus to everyone. I just went through your personal data and I now need therapy. Points to Eric for ass fuckery. Welcome, Sarah. another points for ass fuckery. Points to Eric, more ass fuckery. Yeah, it's not consensual. That's a good point.
I almost didn't make that comment, so I'm glad I did.
Yeah, no, it's for sure ass fuckery.
Quentin's
Quentin's here, welcome.
So that works.
Points to Maj. Points to Barbie shall not be infringed. Charlie's here, welcome. Points from Chris to Barbie, another good answer, and points to Maj. All right, so let me jump into the scoreboard here, and of course, I forgot
it's close, Maj.
I forgot to put it on the screen, so let's pretend like I'm being real smooth right now. And
we're gonna have to have a tiebreaker, Maj. We have to fight.
Here we go.
That's the only way to decide.
Maj is up. Maj has got 500. Barbie and Eric are tied with 400. Eric, first time on the show, tied for second place. What do you think?
I feel awful.
If I had worn a print shirt, you would be just in last.
It's all good.
Barbie, what do you think so far?
Good. I feel like I should have been in last based on all of those comments, but happy to be the only girl and not last place here.
Maj, you're in first, second time on the show. Do you think you got it figured out?
No, I'm probably going to get nuked here pretty shortly.
Yeah, that might come. I'm not sure if we're doing that tonight or not. We'll see. All right, and let me remove it and back to it. All right, Maj, to you. Categories: gun ownership and restoration of rights. Should all non-citizens be allowed all gun rights?
Now, I'm going to lose some points for this one because my answer is a little bit complicated. The right to keep and bear arms is a human right. The government does not grant that right. It is granted to us from our Creator. So if all humans are created by our Creator, if someone traverses unlawfully into our border, they still have technically that human right to self-defense. So, at risk of getting everybody upset, based on that theory and that perspective, I don't want to give the government the ability to determine what human has the right to defend themselves. So I have to, for that sake, for being intellectually consistent with the human right of the people to keep and bear arms, I will say yes.
All right. I'm with you. It would take a lot of points away from me, too.
Before we move on, may I?
Sure.
I agree with Maj, but I think we should be pretty stringent about who we allow to come here. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a human right, but I don't want, the dumpster of society in my backyard either. So
Well, don't
we
move
can
to
agree and
Washington,
disagree,
D.C.
maybe,
then.
but that's one area with the libertarians I might part ways a little bit. I think we should be
No.
very careful about who we allow to be here.
So wait, that I'm not an open borders libertarian. I think that's a nuanced part that I think libertarians could do a whole lot better to explain on. I don't believe in open borders in a free, and especially in a welfare state. What I love the concept for humans to be able to travel around the globe, and as long as you respect the rules of whatever country that you're in, I would love that. But rights have to be reciprocal. So if I can't hang out in Kyoto, Japan, without a visa, without a passport, or get out of here at the intended time, then the folks in Japan can't come over the same way. So I think libertarians do themselves, because I'm a libertarian, ourselves an injustice by not thoroughly explaining that. Before Rothbard passed, the last few years of his life, he really transferred and explained why he was no longer for open borders in that welfare state. I do think the vetting process of getting all of my friends that's legal immigrants to America or immigrants to America, some of the most wonderful, faith-based, hardworking people in the world. However, I don't know everybody. I don't know who's da-da-da-da. And so when government incentivizes getting the worst people in the world from all over the world, not just South America, not just Mexico, I'm talking about maybe some people in Eastern blocs in Russia, maybe some people from other places, whatever. I don't care. Government is creating this problem because they're not streamlining the process of lawful immigration. So then they throw that question, not tonight's show, but then that question's tossed out, and it forces us to have to deal with, do we say that those folks have the human right to defense, or it's a government granted right? Mind you, the whole entire time with the immigration debacle, the government can solve this problem and is choosing not to. So I want to be clear, because I think libertarians, we do ourselves a tremendous disservice by not explaining that fully, and not even going to some libertarian scholars that do take, or later in their life especially, like Rothbard, take the position that you cannot have open borders in a welfare state at all, pretty much.
I think we're in agreement on that, Mosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, open borders works between states. It's that, we bomb the rest of the world and, have been giving out welfare to people that came here and, just got here and didn't pay into the system at all. Those are big government created problems, but open borders works between the states. So it's, obviously got some basis in reality, but just not with the government screwing everything up like they do. So,
But how do you rely on the government to fix the problems that the government made?
that's very
true. Sorry, I'm trying to bite my tongue. I'm going to go into last place now. I think I'm not a libertarian. I'm an anarchist. I think if you rely on the government for your safety, you're a bitch. Full stop. That's it.
I don't think you're going to lose points for that. We'll see. All right. I at least know who you're getting points from. I don't know who you're going to lose. All right. So this is to you, Eric. Should veterans with mental health issues keep their full gun rights?
Who gets to decide what a mental health issue is?
Right now, the government does.
No. The answer is absolutely, unequivocally no. It's a very scary standard to look at things under. Now, are there some veterans out there that have some problems because of their service? I mean, well, yeah, everyone does. I mean, life is hard in general. I think it's unfair to paint veterans with that brush, and just because they've seen some terrible things. I mean, lots of people have seen some terrible things. I think the government absolutely should not be the arbiter of who decides, or get to decide who, owns a firearm or doesn't. And especially our nation's veterans, if anything, if they need help, give them the help they need. But taking their guns is absolutely not the answer.
Yeah, I hope you know where the question came from. It's, I like to make that point all the time that, all of our rights have been secured by our veterans. So therefore, they should get carte blanche and not be treated to a double standard for sure. So hope that came across. Well,
yeah. And look, that's a great thing to bring up. But also the point too is I'm not one of those veterans that, oh boy, I guess I walked right into probably losing myself some points here. I mean, look, like my opinion on the Iraq War has changed a lot in the last 20 years. You know, I was over there when I was 19, 20 years old. I was just a kid, you know, really scary environment to be in and everything like that. And of course, my views back then were very different than they are now. And so I'm never going to be one of those vets that's like, thank me for my service. No way. You know, I let society decide what they think the merits and flaws are of our foreign interventions or everything. Now, I will say that I love and respect our police and military. You know, people that put in the work and put themselves in danger. I think it takes a certain kind of person to do that, a special kind of person, I must say, a selfless person. And while I very much do disagree oftentimes with our foreign policy, even some of the stuff that our cops do, at the end of the day, I can at least appreciate them as people and appreciate them for what they do. But of course, my views on law enforcement, military, all that stuff has changed drastically in the last 20 years. So I'm glad you brought that point up, but there's a reason that I didn't necessarily, you know, go to that point, because I want veterans to be treated with respect just as equally as anybody else. And, you know, I wouldn't single anybody else in a group to be subject to some government intervention. So I certainly don't want it to be my people either.
I would hope anybody with half a brain would treat our veterans way better than the war criminals that sent our young people over to the desert to die over oil. So hope that came across as well. So, all right.
Yeah.
Barbie, to you. Should felons automatically regain their gun rights?
You don't give up your rights. They're your human rights. So until you're dead, you still have your rights. Yes, they should get their gun right. They didn't lose them, so they can't get them back.
Okay.
May I?
You may.
If someone is not safe enough to be in society with a gun, they're not safe enough to be alive.
There you go.
I mean, bottom line, someone goes on a triple rape or murder side. It doesn't matter if they use a stabby thing or a blunty object or a shooty thing. Doesn't matter. That person should be removed from the gene pool. That's my view of it. And look, in 1791, when the Second Amendment was brought into this country, things were not safe. You couldn't ride down the road in your carriage without, you know, some crap happening. I mean, back then they hung horse thieves, y'all. They hung horse thieves. This is before the Wild West. Pre-Wild West, bitches. If you stole someone's horse or their cattle, you got hung. All right. You know, we got to start removing some of these problem assholes from the gene pool. And a lot of this stuff will calm down a lot, I think you'll see.
Well, it's the government that protects them. I mean, that's the purpose of a system is what it does, right? The government protects evil people. We think we're better and civilized because we're not killing rapists and murderers, but here are rapists and murderers killing civilized people. The government protects bad people. It's disgusting. So yes, to Eric's point, if they're going to hurt people with a gun, then take them the fuck out. They're disgusting people and they shouldn't be around. Hang them from trees.
Honestly, I think the civilians should be the first person with a say in that matter.
Yep.
You know, look, do I agree with capital punishment? It's what we have right now, okay, whether we like it or not, okay? But the point is, to Maj's effect, I'm sure Maj will agree with me on this. I know I can speak for my boy here on this. Now, look, if you're carrying a gun, someone commits some trickery, and you just remove their ass from the gene pool right there, and they get their freaking Darwin Award right there in the street, well, then, you know what? That's on them. And you know, if the system never has a chance to get to them in the first place, you know, I think that person just did society a huge favor.
Yeah, I think I'm totally anti-death penalty because I don't trust the government to fix a pothole, let alone, you know, take lives with fairness. But at the same time, I'm for open carry, and I think that a lot of people be eliminated right away if they want to do evil stuff. And then I think it's also a huge deterrent where a lot of evil stuff wouldn't even be attempted anymore. So, but when it gets to the point of the government, I don't trust them to do a damn thing. So
just to clarify on that, I don't agree with the death penalty either because I don't agree with the government. So I can't agree with anything it does. I advocate for human beings defending themselves, not the state doing it for us or pretending to do it for us.
I'm in agreement there for sure. Barbie.
All right. All right. So back to you, Maj. New category is technology and future restrictions. And last time I talked to Dexter Taylor, I told him that I was going to, anytime we talk about 2A, I was going to make sure people knew about Dexter Taylor wasting away in jail for 10 years for just making a ghost gun. And, so the information, his Give, Send, Go is scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. If you want to help get Dexter out of jail, he's a great guy and just an inspirational guy. So I like to point that out. But Maj, to you, the question is, should citizens freely build firearms at home?
Yes. They should, they can, they are. The conversation about the Second Amendment and like, can the government, can you, a 3D printer, some studying, a little bit of time, you could print the frame of a firearm one a day if you really try. This conversation is over. The codes are already out on the internet. It's not difficult to find it. I mean, hell, Polymer 80 it exists. They should, they can, they will continue. Again, we are on the offensive. The conversation been over. At this point, it's almost like they're grasping at straws to get us to play a game to like almost fake debate of what we can do and what we cannot do. Concealed is concealed. Your house or your garage or your workshop is your workshop, and government, to my knowledge, government hasn't, got neural links in everybody's brain yet. I think there's some rich dude trying to convince people that might be a good thing. But no, we already can. We already do. Everybody already should. And after the show, if anybody needs some direction on how to get some of those 3D printers and information around that, to shoot me a DM.
Awesome. All right, Eric, to you.
Okay.
Should ghost guns be treated the same as factory guns?
Oh my God. You gotta be kidding me. Come on. All right, look. Early on, 1791, all right, Second Amendment, yada, yada, all that sort of stuff. Early on in our country, there was a really early repeating type of gun called a puckle gun. And a lot of those were built pretty much in small shops by enterprising gunsmiths in their own time and everything like that. In 1791, the government didn't need to know what type of gun you had. They didn't care what type of gun you had. You didn't have to pass a background check in 1791. It didn't matter what configuration. If you had a little bitty sawed-off blunderbuss or whatever, or a warship, it didn't matter. And the government had no business and didn't care to know in 1791. So if we're looking at things legality-wise under the Bruin standard, the ghost gun is a completely political term that was made up to describe in some negative way things that the state doesn't like. It's not that they have a problem with the object being a gun itself. What they have a problem with is not knowing you have it or not. So really what this comes down to, no, this obligatory term, which I won't even entertain answering with, should not be subject to any more regulation than any other type of firearm. The only reason that factory firearms are even required to have to go through some sort of background check is because we have this convoluted system that our government has decided is a good idea, and this very strict and crazy chain of custody that has to follow from a firearm being manufactured to being available to a person as the end user. And that also artificially increases the price of the firearm, because the more hands it has to freaking go through, the more it costs the end consumer. Guns would be a lot cheaper if the government was out of the way. So absolutely not. Okay. I'm not even going to entertain their dumb term. All right. That's what I think.
I'm going to jump in real quick and just say 100 points to the first contestant that realizes that these really dumb questions get really great answers. So just throwing that out there. All right, Barbie, to you. Should homemade guns remain legal and private?
Yes, legal. I don't recognize that term. And if every gun I don't recognize. Man's law is immoral. So yes, they are private, and they are inherently legal according to natural law.
Awesome. All right. Back to you, Maj. Is serialization unnecessary government tracking?
No, it's necessary it's 1000% necessary for them to track you. That's what serialization and ISBN numbers and SKUs are about. To Eric's point, we just want to make sure that we can go from manufacturer to end user to another user to another user to another user based on a serialized system. That is a control mechanism. Now the question being, is it necessary for is it unnecessary? No, it's 1000% necessary for their intended purpose. The intended purpose is controlling and seeing and watching and all of these other different things. So it's 100. It's all in alignment with the scheme. And I want to go back real quick to something that Barbie said. You are almost kind of like playing this game of like their terms. It's almost like spelling. It's a very spiritual thing. You have to be very vigilant on what you're calling legal, right? So it's something that's illegal violates a person's body or their property, and your body's obviously your highest property. It's unlawful based on their statute, and ironically, those statutes aren't even in alignment with the supreme law, being the Second Amendment. So all of this is connected. You're asking for a government that the founders of America identified as corrupt, and that's why they wanted as limited much government as possible. And then you're saying we're going to give that thing more power and then let them frame the statements, definitions, and all of that. So you play around into that narrative and their boxing of the narrative, and it's cat. So no, it's not necessary for your freedom or for you to do it, and you just need to think that way. But it's 1000% necessary for them to serialize your firearms for you to participate in their control mechanism.
All right.
Can I add something to Maz's statement that I think some people might find cool? All right. This is just sort of basic technology stuff. This isn't necessarily so. POF, all right, Patriot Ordnance Factory. You know, they make ARs and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, so POF has a unique serial numbering system for their stuff. They actually serialize every part, which is kind of odd. You hardly ever see that. You're not going to see someone serialize a bolt or a carrier or some other, trivial part like that. But their tolerances are so good that, let's say there's some sort of a problem, something comes back on warranty and the bolt failed. They actually have a system where they can look up that serial number and they can see every individual little tiny widget involved in the production of that part. So they can know, oh, maybe we had a bad batch of heat treating or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So to Maj's effect, what he's trying to say, and I know he's articulating well, but yeah, serial numbering is okay for manufacturing. Now, should it be some necessary component? Well, prior to 1968, firearms weren't even required to have serial numbers. So when you're talking about guns, now we're talking about guns that went through that very system that we complained about earlier. Prior to 68, they were not required to have serial numbers. Now, some manufacturers would put serial numbers on them, again, to Masha's effect, for their own internal personal records or whatever it may be. But it shouldn't be for the benefit of the government to be able to snoop and see who buys what and control that more closer. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Anyway.
Great points. Eric, back to you. Should 3D printing files for firearms be protected as free speech?
I mean, I'm not sure it would be a free speech issue. You're talking about the free flow of information being something that should be considered part of free speech. Yeah, I think those files should be available. I think there's a huge community of people that are doing such a great job. And look, I'll be honest. I'm kind of an old school gun guy. Like, I love all sorts of stuff, but 3D printing is not necessarily something I've gotten into doing myself. Although I am very familiar with some of the crazy things. Have y'all seen the bong Glock? It's literally a Glock frame that's 3D printed with a freaking bong built into it. I mean, now that's pretty dope if you ask me, no pun intended. But I mean, yeah, people should have the ability to change things up and customize and play around that sort of stuff. And now look, in this crazy world we live in, all the distractions, all the rhetoric, all the stuff going on, if somebody wants to play around with a file and print some cool gun part, I'm all for it. And the government should have absolutely zero say in who gets to do that. And yeah, that stuff should be protected. I mean, people should be able to share that information freely without consequence, for sure.
Awesome. Barbie, to you.
I should get 100 points for the Glock bong. Okay, just
Oh,
go
it's
on,
coming.
and drop them in there. I know you want to.
It's
right?
coming. It's coming. There's gonna be all sorts of weird
I should get
emojis.
1,000 points for that comment now.
Yeah, it's gonna make my life hard. There's gonna be emojis. It's gonna be weird. Barbie, to you. Do magazine capacity limits put citizens at a disadvantage against criminals?
Yes. I mean, statistically, you're not using 30 rounds in a self-defense scenario, but if you need to, you should be able to. Magazine count limits is absolutely fucking insane, and it's infringing on our rights. Shall not be infringed.
Excellent. I appreciate you trying
Does
to
the government limit their magazine capacity?
Nope.
Then why the fuck should we?
Yeah.
'Cause we're
Agreed.
peasants. We're just little peasants. We don't need to protect ourselves.
Right. I don't see them wanting to turn their shit in anytime
Exactly.
soon. I don't see them wanting to limit themselves because, guns as an object are so deadly. I don't see them turning theirs in or turning in their 30 round mags or their 100 round belts or whatever it is the hell they have.
Is it true? I heard once, I don't know if it's true, at New York gun ranges, you can only have like one round in your magazine at a time at a shooting range. Is that true? No, no.
You know, it sounds harebrained enough to be true, which is
It really
a
does.
bad thing, honestly.
That's exactly right.
So stupid.
All right.
Very.
All right. So back to Maj. Is a bump stock ban necessary?
Oh man, I'm gonna lose points on this one. Not only is it not necessary, it makes you question if the politician that you may be into that may have called for that ban is as pro-gun as you've been told he or she is. I don't know. Maybe it was Kamala that did it. You never know. Maybe when she was VP, maybe she did it. No, this is just stuff. Now, if we want to go down the 4D chess conversation where it's, oh no, we knew that would get kicked up to the SCOTUS and they would knock it down, and you never know. Or you could just never ask that question in the first place or present that as an idea. So no, it's just another thing that government gets involved in, and they try to make a thing out of a thing. And then if this goes in the way that they said it would for the Second Amendment community to say, see, it was 4D chess. We're playing too fast and loose with the Second Amendment for it to be arguably one of, if not the most important amendment to the Constitution, codified in the Bill of Rights, in areas where we don't even have to. And so, no, bump stock bans. You know how many binary triggers I had over the last few years? Because then that's a conversation. It's just government overreach in every different area. And if they can beat you by winning by attrition, by just overwhelming you with, we got to regulate this, we got to regulate this, we got to limit that, we got to limit that. Either A, you aren't paying attention enough to the whole chessboard, or B, they try to get you to just go, it's too much, it's too overwhelming, and quit. And so, no, this is just another thing that government does that was a massive failure. It did not change the rate of speed in the sense of it did not turn the firearm into an actual full auto. And just going against all of the information that even the BATF had on the deck for however long, just to waste a whole bunch of time just for it to be overturned. And it's literally Hegelian dialect. Government creates a problem. Government prints, people fight against it, and then government says, okay, now you can do this again. The same thing that we were doing for however long before it. So absolutely not.
Yeah. Sorry, just to jump on to that. I think you can go into if the government is evil or just stupid. And I personally think it's evil. And it's really just a psychological mindfuck. It makes the liberals feel like they're winning something, and it just exhausts the 2A community. I I mean, this constant battle and courts and all of it. They know a bump stock doesn't turn it into a machine gun. They didn't care. They were lying because they wanted people to believe it. And then they wanted people to get mad when it gets overturned. It has nothing to do with, I mean, if it's the 4D chess, it's not in our favor. It's in the favor of the government. And it's absolutely disgusting. They know exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing.
Classically, the government is always going to provide a problem, and they're always going to provide, oh, guess who has the solution? Oh, we do. They want to brush off the problem, and they want to over glorify the solution, but they were the problem all along. In fact, I saw something the other day. There was some country recently where the government shut down for like 9 months, and employment is down to like unemployment down to 16%. The economy's doing well, and like they're like, oh hell, they realize
Spain.
they're the damn problem. And I almost wonder if we were to just turn the switch off here for about 6 or 8 months, and they always want to
Forever.
talk about easing. Well,
Forever.
Get them out of the way for a while and watch what
Forever.
happens.
Yo, the question is, because that's perfect. That's a perfect timing, right? What's the deadline for the CR resolution? Isn't that today? Is that like midnight tonight? To see if the government shutdown will happen? A government shutdown where the actual politicians still get paid. But isn't that tonight? That's tonight at midnight. Anybody got any information in the chat? If y'all got any info on that CR resolution, let me know.
Yeah. I mean, don't tease me. Don't throw me in the briar patch. Oh, please don't go home. Like Roger Rabbit. No, get the fuck out of here. Go home forever and never come back.
Well, we're kind of going off topic here, but they make people feel like we need them. We rely on them. Oh my God, if the government shuts down, people are going to starve. They're not going to pay their bills. The government is our savior. And they do this across every topic. It's the Second Amendment. They're saving kids from those evil guns. They're saving us from those horrible immigrants that they imported. They human trafficked people in here. This was not natural immigration. And we come to rely on them for our safety, for providing for us, for all of these things. We can't exist without them. We're completely dependent on evil. It is absolutely insane. So to give up any gun rights to these evil people is the dumbest thing anyone can ever do. To bring it back to 2A.
The biggest worry I have here is that people are going to wind up knowing what my political views really are by the end of the show. That might be scary.
Sounds like you're one of us. That's what I like. So I like to tweet out on every federal holiday for everybody to take a look around, because the whole federal government shut down, and notice not a damn thing in your life has changed.
Yeah.
In the last Trump administration, I had checked out of politics completely in 2016 after Trump won. I was a socialist back then. I didn't like Hillary. She actually triggered me to my anarchism, but didn't pay attention to anything. I think it was shut down for the longest government shutdown ever. I had no idea. My kids ended up telling me like a month in that the government was shut down, completely oblivious.
Terry just threw this in here. Terry, if you don't follow Terry, you got to follow Terry, because she does all of this online all the time, follows Congress all the time. And she says the CR is not being voted on tonight as of right now. The shutdown will allow of a reduction in force of approximately 850,000 employees and over 100 programs and activities. So yeah, they do these fake moves all the time, and they're already hedging their bets against it. So they try to scare us with, and the one they do all the time, Eric, is they always say the veterans aren't going to get their care. The VA is going to shut down. Like, they go for our heartstrings and say, we're, these brave people that got hurt, going over and fighting wars we didn't even want to get in the first place. We're going to go after them and make their lives miserable if you don't vote for trillions of dollars in spending that's going to all this crazy stuff.
Real quick.
Psychological mind fucks.
I have something I can add to that. So I am in the VA care system. I do not have health insurance. My care is subsidized. All right. If I get an ouchie or a major ouchie, I go to the freaking VA hospital, I get looked at. I can go in for all the blood work I want. I get health, I get dental, all that, because I'm almost 100% service connected. And yeah, I receive like a pension. I get an early retirement from the government. people often argue this point to me. They say, well, if we shut down the government, Eric, you won't get your benefits or you won't get XYZ. If that's the cost of shutting down the government, I'd give it up in a heartbeat. Let me tell you that. Okay. I mean, I get it. I know, like Maj said, they want to tug at people's heartstrings, you know, and look, there are a lot of vets that are royally messed up. Okay. These folks need help. And many times they're on limited income, if not no income. I mean, we're talking folks. Yeah. There's a lot of vets that might be in their 60s, 70s, maybe even their 80s. They rely on that care. And look, their service royally messed them up, you know, and they're in a really bad way and they need it. So that is a very good point for Mosh to bring up because it is a common argument. So I just want to add my 2 cents. Anyway.
All right.
For what it's worth.
Who was that? That was the bump stock was Maj. All right. So back to you, Eric. Should suppressors be sold like any other accessory?
Oh, absolutely. And other parts of the world, they're treated like an accessory. You can go into a gun store in France or Germany and buy a suppressor right over the counter and you're good to go. It's treated as a simple accessory. And I believe that we really do owe Hollywood for demonizing suppressors because they always wanted, you know, to associate suppressors with assassins and killers and murderers and things of that nature. And they always wanted to, you know, make them seem as if they make a gun absolutely whisper quiet. The circumstances that you have to follow to get a gun to be absolutely 100% whisper quiet are quite specific. Okay, so most are going to make some sort of noise. Anyway, I digress. The point is, yes, a suppressor should be sold over the counter. It should not be treated as a firearm. It is simply an accessory. It is a sacrificial accessory. Suppressors do not last forever. Eventually, they will degrade to the point of being unusable. Now, it does take quite a few rounds to wear out a suppressor to the point that you can't record it, you can't, you know, whatever. And also, one thing I want to mention, sort of, let's just say the legal side, which I don't think it's their place to decide any of that. However, the way it is right now, if you own a suppressor, and let's say the outer tube gets messed up, that's it. You got to trash it. You can't rebuild it. You can't remanufacture your own tube. You can't send it back to the factory and have them, you know, give you a new tube. That's it. Start over. You know, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. No pun intended. But suppressors absolutely are a sacrificial item that they do tear up and wear out, and they are subject to a lot of heat. So yeah, it should just be an over-the-counter item. Totally.
It's funny. I almost asked a question about if Hollywood is the reason that they were illegal. So bonus points to me for skipping that question because you worked it in there so perfect. All right, Barbie, to you. Do bans on assault weapons, and everybody that's giving me shit in the chat, notice I'm putting quotes around these. Do bans on assault weapons criminalize cosmetics, not actual crime?
What do you mean by cosmetics? Like
their features on a gun, they're not actual, they don't make them like more harmful.
Okay, what was the question again?
I don't remember. No.
Do bans on assault weapons criminalize parts on the weapon?
Yeah, the way they look as opposed to their actual ability to do crime.
I don't even think it's based on what they look. I think it's based on emotions. It's just that these are the weapons that mass shooters are using. But yes, they criminalize the cosmetics over crime. Banning guns isn't going to stop crime. It doesn't stop criminals. If it did, we wouldn't have criminals. I think this is a talking point that we're all aware of. The assault weapons ban absolutely disgusts me. I'm in Colorado where we have our own ban coming up here shortly, and it's just absolutely disgusting because it does nothing to stop the psychopathy of our society, and that's what's leading to these mass shootings on an hourly basis, it seems like now.
All right.
I'd like to add real quick, and again, just piggybacking on something that Maj said earlier, I think it's very important for us to make a distinction about here. Never use their language, okay? If they come up with some bullcrap term, never accept their language as being the narrative or allowing them to be the arbiter of the discussion in terms of describing what a gun is or isn't, right?
Yeah.
So don't ever fall for that trap.
They're assault weapons. Think Glock 43 is considered a assault weapon according to SB 003 that was passed in Colorado this past session. So yeah, our assault weapons are basic carry pistols. Um,
Yeah,
that
lame.
is
Very lame.
totally. I mean, we can call it cosmetics. We can call it tyranny and other word I don't feel comfortable saying out loud, but it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. These people are the dumbest and most evil things in the world, and government just attracts them
Yeah.
like flies
This
on a pile of
this
shit.
micro attack to the kidney, trust me, it's equally bad.
All right. Maj, to you. Are pistol braces life-saving for disabled shooters?
1000%. If someone is disabled and they want to exercise their Second Amendment rights in a safe and responsible way, it is, I contend that making sure that someone can exercise a human right in a safe and responsible way is critical to their life, freedom, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and property. So I equate those things, life, liberty, happiness, and the pursuit of property, with freedom, with life. So who am I to tell someone that is disabled that they cannot have a pistol brace? It has nothing to do with me. It has more to do with their quality of life being improved. And I'm not going to step in the way of any American improving their quality of life. So 1000%.
All right, Eric, to you. Should accessories like binary triggers ever be treated as contraband?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, we should be able to make machine guns in our basement. Why have a binary trigger? I should be able to drill the third hole and install an auto sear and have a machine gun if I want. I think when the government, especially, and we always sort of point back to these bastards because, you know, they always deliver the problems, you know, and they try to act like they're providing the solution. But the point is, the rate of fire of the gun is really irrelevant. It's the heart of the person who wields a firearm and what their intentions are. There's good and evil in the world, and I think it's very unfair to have. I strongly believe that majority of society is actually pretty damn good people. You know what I mean? So these bad apples out here that are causing these problems, they are a very, very loud minority, extremely loud minority. When you look at all the bad stuff that's put in your feed, go on Twitter. More people now get their news from Twitter than just about any other freaking source right now. And I was actually talking to somebody the other day that had mentioned that they don't even use Twitter for the purposes of using Twitter. They simply have a Twitter account so they can hop on and just see what real people are saying about, you know, stuff that's going on in the world. And I know it's really easy for us to sort of be these vampires and attach to this really negative stuff and spread the negativity because, you know, people are shock and awe. They like to see the blood and gore. And as much as we hate to see it, you know, you can't be drawn away from it. It's very hard to look away from something like that. But the reality is more people save themselves with firearms every single day than actually hurt each other in some criminal way or whatever it may be. So I think, look, if the gangbangers in Chicago can have an auto sear and gun each other down every day, I would argue they're living freer than we are because here we are following these stupid ass rules that don't make any sense. And I say put the damn auto sear in there and let the cards fall where they will, in my opinion.
Excellent answer. All right, Barbie, to you. Should short barrel shotguns be deregulated?
They should absolutely be deregulated because they never should have been regulated in the first place. I think it's a psychological mind fuck that the government is using to try to make people think that they're protecting them from bad guys when they have no idea what they're even doing. Um, it's ridiculous. There should be no regulation on short barreled shotguns.
All right. That is the end of round 2. If you have not entered your scores in the chat, now would be a great time to do so. It is tight. Let's jump into the chat real quick, though. Chris wants a Walmart suppressor. I grant that wish. 200 to Eric simply for being in Georgia.
He is my
Points.
subscriber.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Excellent. Grumpy's cool. I was just on Grumpy's space. I think I got interviewed. I wasn't sure how that turned out, but it was a lot of fun. He saved it. It's on his profile if you want to check it out. Points to Barbie for getting the gun fashion question.
Was that planned? I didn't even catch that.
It was planned. I was not. I wasn't even going to mention it because it got interesting there. So, yeah. So thanks for noticing, Scientific. Points to Barbie. Gun laws prey on emotions and often would have never stopped the recent violent thing that happened. Oftentimes they enable the actions further. Let's see. Let me go backwards here. Robert's here. Points to Maj. All great answers. 1 point to Maj for the admission that you may lose points. 100 on the badass answer. I don't know what show you think you're on, Maj. You keep saying you're going to lose points, then you give these based answers. This isn't The View. I'm not Joy Behar, you know. You're giving great answers. Or maybe that's a ploy. I think it might be a ploy. You're doing strategery, I think. Hody says 100 for immigrants deserve the right to bear arms. No idea what circles that would lose you points to the SC. That's what I'm saying. That's the Liberty position. Points to Maj for intellectual consistency. Points to Eric for calling out clarification. Points to Maj for letting people know that all libertarians aren't pro-open borders. Points to Barbie for not biting your tongue. Yeah, there's been no tongue biting by you at all. Points for being the anti-bitch anarchist Barbie. Points to Barbie. Government bootlickers are bitches. Yep, you got some points there. Points to Eric. Veterans deserve our very best. 100%, Sarah. Points to Eric for keeping the government out of mental health decisions. Points to Eric. F red flag laws for veterans or anyone else. Points to Barbie because I'm not the government's bitch. Points to Eric for being a veteran. Thank you for your service. Points to Eric. Veterans keeping their rights. Points to Eric. I worked for Bush GOP. Understanding those wars were evil is healthy growth, and nobody should take away points for having gained morality. Points to Barbie. If someone is safe enough to be out of prison, they should be able to carry. Points to Barbie. You never give up your rights. And can I just say how nice it is to have a fellow anarchist on the show? More Liberty Rothbard, less post-Liberty Rothbard. I'm sure everybody understood that one, Hody. Thanks. Minus 100 to Eric for a stance on capital punishment. Points to Barbie for the Stafford beer quote. Describes the government perfectly. Minus to Barbie for capital punishment too.
I didn't agree with capital punishment.
Yeah, I think you need to reread the rules. Nobody cares if you actually said it or not. You lost the points. Minus to Eric. The government's not responsible enough to decide who lives or dies.
I agree. By the way, with that, yeah.
Thank you, Amity.
I think some of these you got the points before you did the circle back. So, but yeah, points to Barbie and Eric for capital punishment clarification. See, now you're getting the points back. I'm driving 100 to everyone because it's not safe to text and drive. Be safe, Chris. Points to Maj, can't stop the signal. 200 to Maj, subscriber points. Print guns, not money. Love that, Amity. Points to Maj, lots of gun talk on the show. I wasn't expecting that at all. Points to Maj for opening up his DMs. Yeah, Maj is such a cool guy and answers all sorts of questions. Kat reposted. Thanks, Kat. Points to Eric for the history lesson. Points to Eric for the puckle gun. Points to Eric. Ghost gun is a made-up term. I had quotes. I'm saying, chat. I had quotes on it. Points to Eric for appealing to 1791. Points to Barbie. Manslaw is way worse tasting than coleslaw. Oh my God. Points to Maj and Eric for co-answering questions. # teamwork.
That's my boy.
Points to Eric. Do you have a permit for that drill bit?
Fuck your permit.
Points to Maj and Barbie. Solutions aren't up for government approval. There are rights to keep them in check. Points to Barbie. Infringe is cringe. 100%. 4 points to Eric for the Glock. 20 for the bong. So that's 20.
That's 420 points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Y'all can allow that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Points to Barbie for the biggest glasses. # fashion Barbie. Points to Maj. Trump is obviously not pro 2A. Points to Maj. 2A regulations are a bitch's answer. Points to Barbie. Government is founded on lies that divide at the expense of truths that unite. Well said, Hody. Points to Eric for Roger Rabbit. Points to Barbie for the Sandlot reference. Forever, forever, forever. Grumpy's here. Welcome, Grumpy. Points to Barbie for forever. Points for suppressors or an accessory. Points for, I already did that one, I think. Let's see where we go. Yeah. Points to Eric for getting me banned from the UK with knives and how to use them. Hey, 20% of my subscribers are from the UK. Please don't get us banned there. I only have 5 subscribers. Shirley's my UK subscriber. What a great lady. Points to Eric for making me hold off on drilling the third hole joke. Oh my God.
Drill as many holes as are necessary, y'all. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, Grumpy like that too. Points to Maj for being a solutionary. I too am a solutionary, by the way. Yeah, this isn't the view. Welcome, Wild Celt. 100 to Maj for human rights distinction versus civil rights. And points to Eric, love the sunglasses. All right, that was a lot. You guys are generating a ton in the chat. Oh, it's so close right now. Let's jump in and see. Eric has jumped out into the lead.
Damn, son. That's what I'm talking about.
Maj is 300 and some points. That whole 420 thing screwed everything up. Maj is at 2,500 and Barbie's at 2,200. What do you think so far, Eric?
Well, I think Maj is technically winning. That 420 points is probably a little unfair advantage. I'm just being honest here.
All right.
I want to win because I'm the best. I don't want to win because I had an advantage over somebody. No way.
All right, let's see here. Last category is pick one.
Oh,
all right. So, Maj, to you. Which training is most important for citizens? Firearm handling, legal self-defense, situational awareness, de-escalation, or first aid?
Man, this is actually a very difficult question.
Yes.
It's difficult because it's different needs for different scenarios. On one hand, I want to say situational awareness because it can be so preventative. But on the other hand, when you say stop the bleed, it may not even be your situation. You may carry a tourniquet, carry an IFAC, EFAC, whatever, individual first aid kit, emergency first aid kit, because somebody else in a car accident, somebody cuts themselves in your house. Firearms handling, obviously. So statistically, I'm going to say conflict resolution and de-escalation. Just because the shooting, the stabbing, all of those different things can come out of people engaging or being a little bit too aggressive. So, man, that's wild. But I'm gonna say the conflict resolution and de-escalation, because in engaging more people, you don't know if a person is crazy, you don't know if a person got a knife, a gun, and you're more than likely to engage humans with bad attitudes than you are to see a car accident or somebody cutting themselves or you getting into a firefight. So that's the very stringent reason why I'm going to land at conflict resolution and de-escalation.
I like that I made it hard on you. So no regrets, Chad. I see you. All right, Eric, to you. Which form of government overreach should be eliminated first? Red flag laws, magazine limits, waiting periods, ammo restrictions, or gun registries? Did he freeze on us or did he fall asleep?
That's another tough question.
It is tough. I think he's...
Oh, here we go. He's back.
This
you
is a
back,
good one.
Eric?
All right. I think I might have cut out for a second.
Yeah.
And here I was chewing on Maj's question thinking, man, situational awareness, baby, because look, I do want to say I agree with Maj on the other point because, I do agree with the de-escalation. That's a very great point that he brought up there. But I would say situational awareness is a pretty dang important thing because then that's going to allow you to know, all right, how can I de-escalate the situation before it becomes worse? The sooner you recognize it, I would say the better. So maybe situational awareness. Now, getting on to the question that I've been asked to answer here, that's difficult to say. There's so many doozies in there, things that I want to see go away. I would say, okay, if we have to perform triage, all right, let's pretend that we're in a medical situation and our poor Second Amendment is being stabbed to death. All right, what in the heck are we going to do? I would say the worst wound out of all of those is the red flag laws, because that's the most immediate. That's the most immediate and direct threat to the life of, let's say we're trying to pump life in the Second Amendment. I'd say red flag laws are crazy. And earlier I was going to mention Pam Bondi. I'm glad I sort of waited, because earlier when Maj was talking about his references to, executive orders on bump stocks, for instance, we know that was a reference to Trump, maybe not necessarily being, at least alluding to the fact that maybe Trump is not as pro-gun as he leads on. Well, here we have Pam Bondi as our AG now, and she ended up being a really terrible pick because, a lot of her work in Florida, she supported red flag confiscation orders. She supported making most young adults wait until they're 21 to buy a rifle, right? Or even a handgun, for instance, and waiting periods, all sorts of messed up stuff. And you would never think that Florida would be a place that sort of stuff takes place. So I feel like I was kind of perplexed by him choosing Pam Bondi for that reason, because she's not pro-gun at all. So if we're performing triage here, I would say red flags are definitely a big one. That's the one that can get you the most dead the quickest out of all of those.
Yeah, me and Terry are in Florida, and we like to tell everybody we warned you all about Pam Bondi, so that's on you. All right, Barbie, to you. Which option is the best for women's safety? Firearms, pepper spray, taser, martial arts, or call 911?
Did you give me the easy questions because I'm a girl?
No, we wanted a woman's point of view on something. I didn't do a lot of it. The one Barbie joke, and then this one. I think that's
no. Those other two were hard questions. I disagree on Eric's answer on the last one. I think gun registries are the biggest infringement there because government is the biggest enemy. But in terms of my easy question, firearms are the best self-defense tool for women. I do think a lot of women don't lean that way because it is a very masculine object and a very masculine dominated industry, and it can be very intimidating for women to even to know what to do, to go buy a gun, to even go to the counter and ask questions. I do believe it's my understanding. I've seen a lot over the past few years of more women getting into the industry, which I think is great. But yeah, firearms are definitely a lot better than pepper spray. Going back to points before, rapists shouldn't be allowed to live. So if you're gonna fucking come at me, I want you dead. Not with burning eyes. You should not be in this world.
You're a badass though, so I could have seen you going martial arts, So I there were options here.
There are options, and I think all of them except for the police call are decent options. Learning martial arts is on my list, but they're all martial arts and guns. They're very expensive hobbies. I don't want to call firearms a hobby, but very expensive activities to do. Martial arts is very time consuming too. So I'll get there someday. I mean, being able to physically fight off an attacker, it definitely can be as useful as a firearm in specific scenarios. But again, I don't want these people in this world. I don't want them with black eyes.
I'd like to clarify something about my choice. Okay. The reason that I chose red flag confiscation orders over the gun registry was obviously a close second. But the reason I chose red flag confiscation orders is because, all right, anybody can accuse somebody of some crime. And we're talking about in states where red flag confiscation orders are allowed and supported. And remember, we do have, that to worry about. It could just be a jealous ex. It could be any number of people that could go to a court, and all they have to do is convince a judge that you're a danger somehow. And all of a sudden you've got the jackboots showing up to your house. So in this world of weaponization of different policies against people and folks loving to weaponize the system against each other, and in a system that so readily supports the idea of, remember when you yourself said that you jumped off the Hillary wagon because she was such a vile person. Remember when her whole thing was say something, right? So in a society that's told to say something, and to think that your neighbor could just see you with a gun case going in your house or something and want to be a Karen and contact and of course that would require them to lie. But let's just say in this little scenario, someone is able to convince a court that you're somehow a danger, and there's some sealed warrant that you have nothing to do with. There's some legal precedence or legal proceeding that you have no idea is occurring. You are not present to defend yourself. And to think that some jackboots are going to show up at 3 o'clock in the morning and take whatever guns they can find, regardless of some registry. Okay, one could argue that, all right, if there's a registry, they know what you have. But in this situation, they would have never showed up had this Karen not complained or something. So when I say that it's the most direct threat to you as a person and your freedoms, I can't think of anything that's more of a double whammy. Not only are they coming to take your firearms, but they're doing it under a court undertaking that you have absolutely no say in. And
So
that's damn dangerous.
on January 6th, when there was a resurrection at the Capitol, resurrection, silly. I was in court defending my gun rights because my ex lied to the court and had tried to have them take away my guns. So I've actually been through this process, and it's very filthy. It makes you feel very dirty and very, vulnerable, because yes, if they had taken away my guns, then that leaves me vulnerable to the rest of the world in terms of my own personal safety. The
And
judge
that didn't make you more afraid than
no,
some gun registry
because
existing?
it doesn't make me, I mean, every court and every judge and magistrate is going to be different. I can totally understand that. But and it depends on the state and the specific law. Here in Colorado, he had to prove what he claimed was I assaulted him. And he couldn't prove I assaulted him because I didn't assault him. But what he actually did, it was really funny. It was really fucking funny. I was a little upset I stressed out so much. He showed a video of me not assaulting him to try to prove that I assaulted him. Stupid people. But there is, as long as there's due process before taking away, there is some sort of protection there. Again, I don't believe in government at all. I don't think any of it is valid. But I think with gun registries, I mean, I would give up. I don't know even how to say this, but I would sacrifice myself over the government going and invading the homes of all of the men and women around me that have stockpiled firearms and ammo and taken that away. And now we're left with a few pistols, if even, and we have no way to fight back against them. I think government is a much bigger threat to our freedom and our safety than all of the criminals combined. I mean, these people, they're the biggest gang. They're the freaking mafia, and they control us. And giving them the names of the people that have the capacity to fight against them, I think is a very dangerous thing to do. But on the flip side, they've already captured their minds, so I guess they don't really need their guns.
Yeah, you know the best way to win a sword fight?
What's that?
Anybody?
Bring a
Carry
gun.
a fucking sword.
Bring a
Hello, have a sword.
I thought you're going Raiders of the Lost Ark on that, but
Oh, well, there's that option too, of course.
all right. And in my defense, I put the police call option to troll myself. I'm playing 5D game show here, people. So just know that. All right, Maj, back to you. Which barrier to training is the worst? The cost, time, lack of ranges, government mandates, or cultural stigma?
Cost. That's literally the reason why for the last 8 years, we've made all of our classes free to all. Telling somebody, because first of all, everybody that goes down the firearms rabbit hole, here's what your life is going to look like. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to like it. You're going to put money aside for guns. The guns won't be that bad. You'll buy guns depending on how much money you buy and how many firearms you purchase. The ammo, because in order to use it, you got to destroy it. So when you want to get trained up, our goal was to make sure that we would remove the financial barrier to entry for anybody that wanted to start on this journey. The reason being is because if you come to one of our classes, we teach you safe and responsible firearms handling and manipulation of that firearm. We get you comfortable. We get you the basic 4 rules. We get you shooting for the first few times. We get you really, really inculcated in, oh, okay, this isn't as bad. We remove all of the cultural, dogma. We remove the financial barrier to entry. You're more informed, you're more safe, and you're more comfortable to start your journey. If you do get more instruction that you have to pay for after our very thorough class, you can start with that person and you can save even more money because they don't have to run you through a basics situation. The biggest barrier to training entry is financial. Again, guys, if you guys got anything from the show tonight from our work, again, we are $46,000 away from buying our building. That's 464 more donors at the $100 level. Please, guys, if you can, givesendgo.com/solutionary. When we started in 2016, we basically said first it was initially one event, then we went to other places. And for those amount of years, every single firearms class has been completely free to all. We've created instructors, we've created we shifted the narrative in a very good way. And so saying that to say, the biggest barrier is cost. It's not even a question. Taking somebody to the range and giving them 100 rounds for their first time shooting. I think our students, they initially train with SIRT pistols, meaning in the classroom setting, but I don't even think our students really get in the beginning. They come in spoiled because they already have 100 rounds ready for them at the range at their first time, and they don't have to pay for anything. They don't have to pay for the gun. They don't have to pay for the ears. They don't have to pay for the eyes. They don't have to pay for the ammo. And that is 1,000% as far as training goes. That's the biggest barrier to entry because I've had over 200 people tell me, man, I really wanted to start training, but I knew I couldn't afford it and I didn't know where to go. So it's 1,000% cost. And guys, if you want to help us out to keep these classes going free to all, please, please, please support the work. givesendgo.com/solutionary is right under.
And just to add on to that too, what they're doing in Colorado kind of plays into that a lot. The government uses the cost as a way to infringe on our rights, and to prohibit people from training or buying guns. Not this past session, the one before, or as actually they put it on the ballot, and the Coloradans voted for a sin tax on guns and ammo. So we now have an extra, I think it's like 7% on guns and ammo. They use profit motive of capitalists to infringe on our rights too. They put all of their regulations on the gun stores. They don't put it on the people. So now you can't sell certain types of guns or you'll go to business. So they really target the profit motive, and then they layer on a part of the assault weapons ban that was passed this last year is like a 2-day training class that you have to pay for. So the government really, really, really manipulates and pushes the cost even higher so that it deters people from getting into firearms and training. It's disgusting. So thank you, Maj, for helping alleviate that financial burden, because I agree 100%. It's the biggest deterrent from getting people into it.
Doing extremely important work. All right. I got more banger questions like that, so hopefully we speed it up. We can get them in. Eric, to you. Which tool of state control is the most urgent to dismantle? Background checks, insurance mandates, smart gun mandates, licensing schemes, or credit card coding? By the credit card coding, I mean they're putting a product code on any gun sales and stuff so they can track all of that with just a category through the credit card companies.
Okay. Well, let's break this down a little bit here. Okay. What the question is asking us, what is the most urgent to dismantle? Well, to dismantle would suggest that we have to have it in far spread use in order to dismantle it. So again, can you go back, put me off for a second, go back to the question.
Sure.
So if we're talking, all right, credit card coding, that's not necessarily something that's super prevalent right now. Smart gun mandates. I mean, yeah, they talk about it, but that's not necessarily, again, something that we really have to worry about. So we can kind of knock those off. Insurance mandates, that's primarily more something that's on the industry side and not so much on the individual side. Although obviously I don't agree with the government ever forcing you to purchase a good or service. Obviously not. But again, that leads us to licensing schemes and background checks. All right. Well, right now, what is probably the worst of those two? I would say probably licensing schemes, because again, I'm sort of piggybacking on Modge's logic here. We're talking about things that create barriers to people exercising their rights. Okay. And licensing schemes are absolutely a barrier to exercising your rights. I mean, many times they require classes that cost money. They require training that costs money. And again, not everybody can always afford to do these things in order to get some permission from Uncle Sam to be able to carry a firearm in a given area. So licensing schemes are definitely towards the top. And I agree on that more holistically, even just in society in general, right? Anytime you require a barrier of some sort to exercise a right, that's obviously always going to be a really huge issue in my book. Okay. And now we could say background checks. Yeah, background checks are something that has probably a minimal impact if the sons of bitches aren't keeping everybody's data when they process a gun sale or process a 4473, which we know recently the ATF was caught, establishing, let's just say, a database. Now they called it a database, but it's a registry. They say, well, if you don't check a certain area off, you can't search it like a registry. Well, you really trust them not to check the box. The point is, yes, background checks are an infringement in the standpoint that I don't want the government to be able to just pull up some database and know which guns that I've ever purchased, regardless of how I dispose of those guns or whatever happened to them. Is none of their business to damn know. But I think licensing requirements are certainly something that's higher up. Again, I'm always thinking triage. I'm always thinking, what's the worst Band-Aid to rip off first? I'd say out of that list, that's probably the most considerable one, especially for people of lower income levels that have a hard time, having the finances to be able to do these sorts of things. Okay. And we're looking at licensing requirements. I mean, okay, let's go all the way back, right? What were some of the early forms of, them controlling elections or disenfranchising Americans? Well, that was, having polling booth fees, like polling taxes, right? Having to pay a fee to vote. We determined a long time ago that it's absolutely unlawful to require a fee in the connection of the exercising of a right. So in January, we have suppressors going off of the NFA in terms of not requiring the $200 tax stamp, as well as short-barreled rifles and shotguns. Now, you still have to register them, but you don't have to pay the $200 tax. So I would say that the licensing requirements are definitely a big one. And there are many situations where these things are being fought successfully, I might add, in court. And as much as I hate this whole process that we have to follow, unfortunately, we got to play their game. And thus far, we are winning at that game on many of those fronts.
Great answer. All right, Barbie, to you. Which power grab is the biggest threat to liberty? Mass surveillance, disarmament, emergency powers, propaganda, or taxation?
It seems like a hard question, but just coming from my own mindset and beliefs, I'm going with propaganda. They use the people against themselves. I have coined the term, and I'm the only anarcho Jungian. I like to think of all of this from a psychological perspective. And what you can see over the past 250 years is a whole lot of propaganda manipulating people's minds. And I know we talked about pulling at the heartstrings, but what it really is triggering nervous systems. It's constantly putting people in fight or flight, and then that's causing them to fight with their neighbor or their other political party. And it's really what's led us to this current state society where everyone is angry and it's my rights and it's versus your rights, and it's manipulating, it's taking control of people's minds. And when people don't have control over their minds, they fall into that system of letting the government do it for them. And I think the people not having the control is the absolute biggest threat to all of humanity, really. So when I look at anything, I'm always going to come at it from a psychological perspective, and it's disgusting what they've done to people. It's just disgusting.
That's
I
not
call
the answer I
myself a,
expected
what's
from
that?
you. I must admit, that's not the answer I expected from you. I figured it'd
Yeah.
be guns. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Well,
I was
For some
it's
surprised
reason,
by
I
that one
thought it would
too.
be
this is
firearms.
how they take the guns, right? We're all people, and we all have to live with each other. But they convince people through their psychology, through propaganda. I mean, all of these shootings, they're intentionally broadcasting them like every 5 seconds to trigger people's nervous systems, to make them just terrified. And what makes them feel safe is taking the guns away. So
Mhm.
again, I mean, I like to try to take things from root cause perspective of what's the real underlying issue. And the underlying issue for every problem we have today is the human mind, and each individual not having control of their own. Because then what it does is puts people into a situation where they're wanting to take guns away, where it's okay to tax people because it's feeding the poor, or oh, we're gonna go fight Russia because they're our enemy. All of those other options, they really come down to people's minds being controlled by the government.
Yeah, that's a
All
great
right.
point. I never really would have thought to look at it that way. All I'll add is that our founding fathers made a grocery list, okay? And they were like, hey, what's the first thing on the damn grocery list, right? When you go to the grocery store, you're never going to forget the milk and the bread, the really important building blocks of what you're trying to create in your meal, right? And they realized, they were like, man, this freedom of speech thing is a huge deal, right? We want to be able to, hey, that's the first damn thing on the list. Freedom to say whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, how do we make sure that we can say what we want without fear of consequence? Well, let's make sure everybody can have guns, right? So I think the two are very well connected, the psychological war and the physical war. And I think that our founding fathers are very brilliant in that they were very crafty when they're like, to put those two things at the top means that they're the most important, because it means they thought of them first.
Yep. Totally agree. And I just want to add to what Barbie said, that it's not even the shootings that they're broadcasting, but it's also the fake ones. Like, we had a member of Congress, I think it was Nancy Mace, that was like live tweeting when the guy on campus had the umbrella. So like, that wasn't even a shooting. That was like, an active shooter situation that they're live tweeting. It was a guy walking around campus with an umbrella. Like, I mean, it's just absolutely insane what they're doing. So I think you talked me into this, Barbie. So good answer.
I
All
agree.
right. One more question each. Maj, to you, which group needs training the most? Women, students, teachers, seniors, or veterans?
Man, this is an actually very difficult question, but before I answer it, right? I get what Barbie's saying in relation to the propaganda being the base. This is the reason why government will work tremendously closely with, or maybe even own or have backdoors to all of our social media platforms. Because we need to influence the mindset of people to even prime them for accepting of a particular thing. Whether that means we as the government are going to hire this person, or go through a PR firm to hire this public speaker to say a thing to get the public perception to be a particular thing. And when you're to E's point about, we're going to what is first, ABC, airway, where's the whole, what da 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 da. I think propaganda is that thing for the government, because they'll utilize private entity to influence the mindsets of the people to get around their restrictions on them via the First Amendment. You can't necessarily attack me as government for the things that I say on platforms or in places about government, but you can go out of your way, Zuckerberg, or Biden administration, to get Zuckerberg to limit the speech in the town square. So I think those things are part and parcel.
I'm
As far
sorry.
as my
You brought this
question,
back up. Can I jump in now? Because there's one more
sure.
thing I want to add to that now.
Sure.
All right. They know the government knows exactly how we're going to react to what they do. I think we're starting to see a slight turn in that. Sorry, I want to go back a little bit. The only thing based on I read this brainwashing book, and it was talking about Pavlov's dog's conditioning, and the only thing that broke the dog's conditioning was love. And I think what we're seeing with all of the Netanyahu brainwashing or propaganda, because we very clearly see it on video, them telling us that they're propagandizing us, is that it's the murder of children. That's really kind of waking people up to the fact that we are being propagandized. So I think it's really cool to kind of see the things that I know kind of come to life, and seeing them, their own behavior kind of pick at what they've been designing us to do. It's pretty neat. Sad it took killing kids to
There's a
get there,
great book
but
on that. There's a great book on that called "Don't Shoot the Dog" by Karen Pryor. She was a behavioral scientist that worked with animals. She worked with like SeaWorld. At a certain point, she was working with the Navy to train SEALs to identify submarines, track the submarines, and communicate in certain ways, back with home base, for lack of a better term. But she wrote this book, and it dealt with those types of things, about those little propaganda techniques. I mean, she's leaps and bounds beyond where Edward Bernays was as it relates to behavioral science and propaganda. But if everybody gets a chance, y'all should check that book out. It's in alignment with what Barbie's saying. What my question was, what again? It was
Let me pull it back up, but I just want to say real quick, you're not talking about Shoot the Dog by Christy Nome. That's a different book. So
no.
yeah. All right. So your question was, which group needs training the most? Women, students, teachers, seniors, or veterans?
All right, so I'm gonna take vets and seniors out of the equation, because vets generally, I'm gonna say that generally, not saying that they always SF. I'm just saying generally veterans have been exposed to a certain level of firearms understanding and training. Seniors, them older guys, they don't play by these new rules. They probably got a gun, so I'm leaning more towards students and women. And I'm saying students and women simply because women are like smaller than us, and like they are generally, if I'm the scumbag is 1000% going after a softer target. So guys, you should already notice, and I'm not saying this like to be funny or rude to women. I'm saying guys, like, come on, guys, like, come on. It's like, come on. Women generally are not looked at to be the absolute protector. And I think that works in women's disinterest. I think women should be thinking about themselves being the protector in conjunction with their husbands, if they are married or not. But there's a certain level of independence and confidence that comes from the competence of firearms training. So for those reasons, I'm going to land at women, because a lot of students can be women too, or are women. Like, there's way more women in college than dudes. So, I say this from a place of love and a place of I've instructed so many women that have come from, and I know the domestic violence thing people get lied on all the time. I've been falsely accused. It's the worst thing in the world. However, I've also trained women that legitimately came from serious DV situations. And I absolutely want women to shoot those men. I want you to absolutely feel 1000% comfortable in the thought process of shooting and absolutely ending that particular person. And I'm partial to women in that regard. Dudes kind of get it in a certain sense. We have this, and I say that from a usually like an ego perspective. Guys that don't even shoot come to the range the first time, and they're like, I play Call of Duty. And I'm like, dude, whatever. But women have such more of a, we've low-key conditioned that warrior spirit out of women. And so, and where we are right now, I'm kind of like, oh no, we need to like really, really reinstitute that into women, and or show women the way to do that for themselves. I want to be very clear about that, because I don't think that women are like these dainty flowers all of the time that we, men have to help. I'm saying we have a responsibility to address the women that part of them has been systemically kind of like snatched out of. And then it doesn't even got to be in a rude way. It's just like, oh, well, I'm a woman and, I'm existing in my goddessness, but I need you to be Xena warrior princess too. So for that way, in a roundabout way, I'm going to land with women.
Excellent. All right,
I have
Eric,
nothing
to
to
you.
add to that. I agree with Maj 100% on that.
Excellent. All right. Eric, your question is, and I wanted to ask you this as a prolific content creator that's created some of the greatest content out there on this topic. Which digital control tactic is the most dangerous? Deplatforming gun content, payment coding, search censorship or shadow banning, online bans on sales, or AI content moderation?
All right. Leave this up for a second so I can
Yep.
still read it while I'm mentioning this here. It would be selfish of me to say that deplatforming gun content, that's a little too specific to me as a content creator. So I'm not going to be selfish and say that that's a reason. So we can go ahead and knock that one off the list. Search censorship and AI content moderation are actually closely tied together. The AI, a lot of the algorithms that they write, they're kind of biased against guns in a lot of situations. They have a lot of powerful tools that they didn't have, 15, 16, 17 years ago. And in fact, it's quite funny. Check it out. This is my OG cyber shot. All right. It's a 7-point megapixel. Oh yeah, boy. I've been making YouTube content a long damn time. All right. And back then, it was a little bit easier to get discovered. It was a little bit easier for generally anybody, no matter who they were, to gain a following and to just for people to be able to search and find what it is they're looking for. Remember, y'all, YouTube, first and foremost, is a search engine. That's important, right? It's a very good search engine and has a lot of back-end capabilities. I'm not going to necessarily talk about every little tiny widget they have at their disposal, but let's just say I've looked under the skirt, okay? And they know, okay? There's a lot of things they know. So can we get back to the list again?
Sure.
So it's unfair for me to say that it's deplatforming gun content because that's too specific to me. Payment coding, that's a big deal. Now, when we talk about digital control tactics, now this is not necessarily just related to guns. This is just related to, let's say, the dumbing down of society. Again, if I said online bans and sales, right, that would be too specific to guns, because I have a feeling that's sort of the angle that you were going with the original question is that, yes, YouTube doesn't allow links to firearms. They don't allow et cetera, et cetera. YouTube is also a private business. And because I believe in a private business's right to do what they want, I can't get bent out of shape over that one. So which one, again, as we're applying triage here, what are the two most important things? I think that the AI content moderation and search censorship are absolutely the most important things in play here, because censorship is a conceding of ideas, is what it really is. They cannot beat your logic. They cannot beat you with facts. So they must simply remove you from the overall scenario. And sort of going back to something that Maj mentioned earlier about Zuckerberg and Facebook, and, they had the whole congressional hearing, and, it seems like they put Zuckerberg in the sling a little bit, but we know that the government coerced social media to censor certain voices, now primarily voices in the conservative community, pro-gun community, primarily pro-Trump community, because they were trying to turn the gas down on the movement. Now, whether or not you agree with Trump is irrelevant. This isn't about Trump. This is about them censoring the information and silencing certain people. And I think that has a far worse effect long-term out of all of those things. There are many things in that list that are downstream from those ideas, but I think that's where the stream originates. Okay. AI is a very powerful tool. I'm not going to get into all the things that AI can do. Y'all know these things, but look, AI can literally develop peptides. AI can develop medicines that make it where you don't have to exercise anymore and still get gains. How scary is that? Imagine being able to take a pill and you burn fat and gain muscle with very little physical activity. You know, very soon people are going to be able to take a freaking pill and be in shape. And that's because of AI and how brilliant and how advanced that shit is. So if they can make a pill that is exercise in a pill, imagine what they can do to your search results. That can greatly, you know, affect the way that you view a certain topic. Maybe your stance on guns. All right, let's say in the vein of guns, since some of these questions seem to be centric to guns, then yeah, they could certainly point you purposely to information that is biased against you liking guns. And that is way scarier. They don't need to demonetize gun content or censor gun content if they simply remove a person's ability to A, find it, B, engage with it, or C, if they ask, let's say, anything to their search engine that might be even somewhat gun related. Is that to say they're not going to get pointed to the anti-gun stance first? That's pretty dangerous.
Agreed. All right. Last question of the night to Barbie. Which restriction makes women the most vulnerable? Waiting periods, age limits, magazine bans, handgun rosters, meaning the states that only allow you to buy certain guns that they've approved, or ammo background checks?
Waiting periods. I mean, clearly all of them have an impact, but I think the majority of women, this is pure speculation, don't quote me on this, I don't have a source. But I think the majority of women, when they go get a gun, they're doing it because they have some reason to be fearful and a need to protect themselves. And when they can't get it at that time, that leaves them open for those days. In Colorado, it's 3 days that we have to wait. That's 3 days that someone's life is in imminent danger. You don't always need 30 rounds. What else was on there? Some magazine limits, age limits. I mean, age limits aren't women specific. Magazine bans. I mean, if I can reload fast enough, I'm good here in Colorado at least. Ammo background checks, I've never heard of those existing. But I mean, that could potentially be one. If they have something on their record, they should still be able to protect themselves. But yeah, I think waiting periods is going to be the most impactful for that imminent danger zone.
I agree 100% with her on that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So that is it for tonight. Please enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so. Tell us what you thought of the show. Tell us who you think won. And share this out again so people can catch the replay if you get a chance. Let's jump into the chat and get the last comments here. This one's from Eric. 100 to Maj for jumping into that dumpster fire of a question. That's not fair. They're all dumpster fire questions.
Am I allowed to give points?
Yeah, sure.
I should get points for giving points.
Well, that's not how the government works.
Okay.
You do the right thing, you get penalized. That's how the government works.
That's right. I get taxed 500 points for that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you're on a watch list too for doing something like that.
I hope I'm on all the lists.
100 to Maj for de-escalation. 200 to Maj for being such an effective educator. 100% on that. Points to Maj. Avoiding having to kill is better than learning how to kill. Points to Maj for conflict resolution. Sorry, I'm calm now. That was some screaming scientific. Points for anti-red flag laws. Points to Maj for realizing conflict resolution can avoid all the other BS. Points to Eric because Pam Bondi's horrible. That should have been more points. See, Eric thought police are already throttling your internet for being pro 2A. 100 for being put on a list because of this game show. Yeah. That's part of the service we provide. Points to Barbie for objectively corrective answer. Arm the women. 100 to Barbie's dream question. 100 to Barbie for the gun registry being awful. 100 to Eric. I can tell you exactly why anti-human rights Trump chose to be an anti-human right, or chose an anti-human rights AG. Points to Barbie for firearms being the best choice. Points to Barbie, registries are crap. Government uses intel to indicate violence. Points to Barbie, chicks dig firearms. Negative to Eric for thinking libertarians have jealous exes. Points to Barbie for resurrection. I knew somebody was going to get on that one. Minus 100 to Barbie, because if they take your guns, you have no chance to repeal any registries. Points to Barbie, government is a gang, and statistically the deadliest one. Points to me for the Indiana Jones reference, I'll take it. Points to Barbie and Eric for the spirited discussion, red flag versus registry. Points to me for the 5D game show. That's the service I provide. Yeah. Points to Maj for ammo talk. Laura, it is expensive. Points to Maj for free training. I mean, that's, people don't get how big that is and where their money's going and how important that is. There's no way I'm going to donate if your house is that nice, Maj. And then Terry jumps in and said, no, that's not Maj's house. And then puts the link to GiveSendGo/solutionary. 100 to Eric. If you need a license, it ain't a right. To hell with mandated licenses. Thomas is here. Points to him for being here again. Yeah, Thomas is awesome. Points to me for having a podcast you're interested in. I'll take it. Points to Terry for always being sweet, except to free. Yeah, she shouldn't have to do that. Actually, she's paying for a subscription, so she's being even sweeter than usual. Points to Barbie for anti-propaganda. The state can and will use propaganda to justify further statism. 100%. Points to Barbie. Tyranny starts in our hearts and our minds, not in the halls of Congress. I've heard it both ways. 100 to everybody. Love the 1969 vibes with the building on each other's answers up. Peace, love, and handguns. Points to Maj, arm the women. Points to Maj, Xena Princess Warrior. I don't think that's his official nickname. Who wants to train Terry next? That's a good question. Points to Maj for helping women find their warrior spirit. Points to Eric for letting us know that YouTube doesn't shave anything under the skirt and has lots of widgets.
Absolutely.
Points to Eric. I got banned for posting pro-vaccine content on Facebook.
Of course you did.
Points to Eric for mentioning myostatin, growth differential factor 8 inhibitors. In Scientific's defense, that was the first time he put something scientific on there that I had to read. Points to Barbie for the waiting periods. Most women want a gun now because they need it. Points to Barbie. Waiting periods prevent women from protecting themselves from imminent danger.
Absolutely.
And points to Eric for helping me save money on firearms. So awesome show tonight. Let's jump in here and see who won. Oh, the score changed like 5 times in the last 5 minutes. So this is a good one. So just because I know how to do it, I'm going to do the drum roll. And the winner tonight is Eric, 3944. Squeaked just ahead of Maj right at the end there. Maj with 3,800. And Barbie with an excellent showing, only 300 behind with 3,650. Barbie, third place. What do you think?
I think I should have worn pink, but glad to at least be privileged to be on the show with these guys that are way more experienced and knowledgeable than I am.
Second place was Maj. Maj, what did you think? Second time on the show.
Oh, it was wonderful, man. I think everybody that watched and tapped in got like a legitimate crash course in liberty, a crash course in firearms ownership. I feel like everybody can leave here with a different respectful disrespect for the government. And I think that it's coming from people that are steeped in their lanes of knowing what they're talking about and have a legitimate reason and can back up why you might want to have a little bit of a limited government perspective on life at the minimum. So I think everybody got a lot of good stuff out of it. It was always fun. I love it. Some of them questions, bro, I was just like, which one do I want to get rid of first? I saw a meme where somebody was like, one's got to go. And it was like the ATF, the IRS, like the CIA, the NSA. And I was just like stuck. So some of those questions were like that, but it was great. I had a great time as always.
Awesome. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
Eric, you're the big winner tonight. What do you think?
Well, I'll just leave some final thoughts. I mean, one is that iron sharpens iron. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you're in with this group of people, you're in with the right people. So you're a winner. Everybody's a winner. If you think the way that the folks on this in this presentation do, you're much closer to being the winner than you think you are. And I think, again, iron sharpens iron. So, politics and policy and all of this crap is all downstream from culture. And anytime you're moving the needle in the correct way that promotes the culture growing in the way that you want it to grow is a win. And I will say my views used to be drastically different. And they have changed a lot over the years. And the only reason that they could change is because I was susceptible and open to have my mind changed on the given subject. I mean, it was primarily about the war and all of that. But the point is, iron sharpens iron. Always remember that. And with that being said, make sure you support Maj's work. I mean, he's doing a lot of good stuff over there. And, if you believe in JC, I do. Right. He, what did he say? He likes deeds. Right. So this man's performing the deeds. He's got the deeds for days, and that deserves your support. And Maj, get with me later. You and I probably need to talk. I think I might have some ideas. Maybe we can, do a little bit off the cuff, but I want to see what I can do to help you. And, we get you maybe some gun support, some ammo support or something. And that might be something worth looking at. I want to know more about the way we can help reduce training costs. So that might be something we could, put in a word. But anyway, appreciate you having me. And I love doing this kind of stuff. This is the first time I've ever done some sort of a show like this. So very interesting. I like the format. And I want to thank everybody that took the time to hang out and contribute. And good stuff. Appreciate it.
You can follow Terry Batts T76 on X. And once again, you can get our swag at freedomsuperstore.com. If you didn't follow us on YouTube or Rumble, we would appreciate that. And you can subscribe to me on X and help us pay for the show. We appreciate it. And thank you to the chat. They're popping in. They loved it. Thanks for all you guys do. You guys made it so much fun and put some great content in there as well. So thank you to everyone. We like to highlight the awesome ladies of Liberty, and we will be doing that Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hope you all can make it. Appreciate you being here tonight, and peace out.